Hello, Krista.
Hello. Cookies? I did not. Did you last year? No, I did not. I make cookies all the time at home.
John, hi Kelly,
I'm sorry.
and hi Kelsey.
You're saying not going to do it every year. I don't know. And I have my kids, and I make them every year with all three grandsons have a different cookie making day. So they love making cookies. Okay. So we do all different kinds. And some of them aren't the prettiest because they get to decorate.
Oh yeah, we do that. So we get together. There's way too many people now that do it, but we get together and we do it. And
well, I'll only take one grandson at a time.
Okay.
Because otherwise it's a mess.
Yes.
It's flour everywhere.
And they decorate it, and they're like you said, they're not. And you know, you really can't serve those cookies because you got the little ones in there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Looking fingers.
So that's what I choose to do my cookie baking.
Good idea.
It's more just for the kids than it is for because I don't need to eat that many cookies.
Did I tell you I put stuff?
You did. Good. Game changer. Right. Right. Oh my gosh. Do it at night. Right. She'll charge her today.
I know. Do it at night.
Hey, let's touch it. I also thought we could bring a
Hello, Michelle. Hello, Hannah.
Like two scoops or two.
No, I just. Then just
You want to see my actual reaction to it?
yeah. See what it says in the bottle.
I think I look like I'm 5 years old.
Oh.
You're gonna be like, oh, you get excited about
Oh,
it.
you can do that too.
The girls one.
Yeah.
The
Do
chai
that.
tea. Did you do the chai?
I got the chai tea and it's disgusting, but it was fine. Whatever. What I do is I just do the 8 ounces, they blend it.
Everyone's walking towards
And then did you see my testing?
I love it.
But I don't
You have a
have
good day?
that one
Good.
powdered
That is so cute.
every day. I do it
Oh, and then he has to get the picture, so.
once a week maybe, and then I'll do it.
That's
But if I
so
do
I saw that was.
I was gonna go buy it.
Yeah. Once I figure out the strategy through it.
the one, yeah, the one.
That is awesome. That is awesome. I love it.
I would do that for a week.
Post that.
Video. And then just plan on having a snack.
Or,
Get hungry.
I'm walking right behind you. That coat.
Then that means it's great for
A
muscles.
little extra.
It's okay. It's all good.
I like extra.
That's a great thing. Thanks for sharing.
How are you? Good, how are you?
Oh.
They're going.
Yeah, I'm sure. I think it's a.
All right, get ready to start here in 1 minute. Remaining in the period, 1 minute.
I said I was gonna drop the last batch.
Sorry, Madonna, fans, you just
I just
called.
tackle, I think, this weekend. I got a funeral to
So I
go
hope
to.
you've already gotten in the room.
Pushing out.
I know. And one of them's my best friend's mom, so that's always a little tough, but she's okay. She's doing okay with it.
Well, good morning, everybody.
Good morning,
Oh,
Jamie.
hi, how are you?
That's trivia.
Very,
She has great shoes on.
Yes, I did, thank you. Right there.
I'll leave it open, then you can close it.
Hey.
Awesome, good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Great to see everybody. Thank you all for being online, especially all you ill people. I don't mean illin.
Ew. Welcome to Wednesday Stakeholder Meeting. We have just 2 left, this one and next week's. And next week's will be filled with some info and some fun. We like to have fun. As you know, our purpose, I don't know why this is here, but our purpose is to serve agents
Oh, pizza.
and impact lives.
What the?
I didn't say impact waistlines, I said impact lives.
Fine.
Oh, God.
And again, this isn't a KWRI thing, this is a KWPR thing. This is what our mantra at with the leadership team go by every time we meet. It's what can we do? Is that better? Yeah. All right, as you know, we do the preferred play of the week. We're gonna cut to the chase here a little bit because we've got a great speaker coming. And the last preferred play of the week was Lisa, so let's give her a round of applause. I mean, all y'all know Lisa. She encompasses everything you want, not just as an agent, but as a human being. So it's great to recognize her. She bent over backwards and did about everything humanly possible for someone to get a closing done for some people in great need. And those are the people we want to be in business with, right? Speaking of people we want to be in business with, the prior week's play of the week that we missed were the corns. And let's hear it for them. They are our first 2-time recipients.
Oh.
So they wanted, again, this isn't to just give everyone a shout out. We want you to have the shout out, don't get me wrong. However, keep us informed of things you do so that we can promote you and earn that play of the week. As you know, they did turkey bingo. It was full of fun. It was full of some borderline things. Mary helped contribute to that. Surprise!
You still coming on my friend.
And it just represents the spirit we have here, and I couldn't be more grateful for y'all. Thank you very much. All right, if you're sick, please stay home. Ironically, I have a chronic cough, so I get to the front of the lines quick. So I'm doing fine. However, if you do have a fever, if you're starting to feel something coming on, please stay home. It's that time of year. We've got a lot of illness going on, a lot of excitement, stress, holidays, shaking hands, kissing babies, all that's going on. So if you're not feeling up to it, please stay home. And if you need something from here, call us. We'll help you as long as it's somewhat ethical.
I'm mad it's only someone.
All right.
Remember, we have an attorney in the room.
Oh, yeah, thank you. Yes.
I didn't hear it.
Well, this is a portion that we like to keep you posted. This is where we keep you posted. Save the date. We have the awards night coming up. So mark that date, 2/9/24, awards night. More information will follow. Kelsey's got something pretty hot brewing. Let's build something. Danielle, what you got?
Get up, I'm coming up.
Come, yep.
Right. All right.
Come on, show off your wheels.
So the contest ends on Friday, so get your people to us between now and Friday so you can get entered in. We've had some really good success so far, possibly a couple of family reunion guests, so that's exciting. Do you have anybody this week that has earned a Lego man?
The corns.
Yay, the corns!
We're doing a Lego man. Melissa Johnson has earned a Lego man. Olivia earned one.
Yay!
Oh.
Don't be too excited. Okay.
She's very excited for the Lego man.
Mary earned another.
Woo!
And the rest of my list don't have that.
Okay, well,
And when is the drawing?
the drawing is on Friday.
Lisa, we. Tried to sneak in after, that's funny.
All right, drawing on Friday.
Drawing on Friday, we'll keep you posted. Good luck
All
to all the participants. Still not too late to just do a 3-way text with one of us, with people that you know that are in this business that will need help, need our help. 2024, just like the last shift, we're gonna lose half the agents. That's what's predicted. We're gonna lose half of the agents. And just think about how many of the good people that you know that surrounded by the tools, technology, the culture, who will stay afloat and then thrive next year. All right, as you know, we got Jingle and Mingle and Cookie Exchange. All the cookies need to be in my office until the contest. So funny.
One, it's not a contest.
Well, I'm calling it a contest, but I see how many I can eat before you all get to it.
He's gonna taste
And
test
then
them all.
if you've never been to family reunion, if you ever plan to go to family reunion, this is the year, my gosh. Tony Robbins, Mel Robbins, Baskin Robbins, Batman and Robin, it's gonna be amazing. As well as invite guests, anyone you know who are co-op agents. That is where many people make their decision. And again, what is it? It's the largest real estate mastermind in the world, and it's also many small breakout groups. It blew my mind, and I'm grateful I got to do that. What's the update? Anyone? What you got, Jen?
We only have 3 cards still, so you guys, thank you so much. We are doing awesome. We have 3 cards that are on the tree. They are due by tomorrow. And you can also Venmo Kelly, and then we will take care of it also. So thank you guys. We really, really appreciate it.
So we just go grab a tag?
A tag off the tree.
And we just get
Yep.
it filled.
Get it filled.
Awesome.
And what do we do with it when we fill it?
Bring it to the front desk
Front
or
desk?
to me.
Okay.
Thank you.
Or my office, I like that one too. Thank you, Jenny, appreciate it so much.
Going to your office.
Well, I mean, anything, food and money.
I can put lots of stuff in your office.
All right, now y'all need to behave because we've got an attorney ready. All right? So let me just give you a little background on this. This is amazing. Thank you, Olivia, for setting this up. Dave has been in the business for over 30 years with litigation and transactional experiences. He represents professionals, employers, boards, both profit and nonprofit, realtors. That's why he's here. You knew that? Real estate agents, brokers and brokerages, appraisers, titles companies, engineers, design professionals, community associations, businesses, and individuals in the areas of professional liability, civil litigation, commercial litigation. This is amazing. And real estate transactional work for corporate. Dave has been repeatedly named as a top lawyer by Minnesota Law and Politics, Minneapolis St. Paul Magazine. He has represented clients in a variety of forums, including arbitrations, mediations, court actions, trials, admin proceedings, and appeals. Dave also represents professionals before licensing and regulatory boards. Dave is a sought-after frequent lecturer at a variety of forums, including the National Association of Realtors Convention and Minnesota Real Estate Institute, the premier continuing education course for Minnesota real estate attorneys. So why share all that? Why share all that? Because again, another very powerful person to come personally speak with you all, because serve agents impact lives. David, come on up, sir.
As you can tell, that photo was taken a while ago in Photoshop.
You're a realtor and Photoshop.
You have a light background? Does that help you?
No, that's fine. Well, you can take my picture off the screen, it'd be real distracting for me. I'm here to talk about something that, I've been representing real estate agents for about 30 years. And you guys come up with really great new and interesting ways of getting yourselves into trouble. And it's been a growth industry for me over the years. And I have 5 rules that over the years I've kind of formulated based upon my experience in representing real estate agents. Insurance companies hire me when you guys have E&O claims. That's predominantly how I get involved with real estate agents, is when they get into trouble, they submit their claim to the insurance company hires me to defend you. Now, and so there's 5 things that over the years, that I've feel that agents would apply and do that stay at a 99% of the problems they have. So I'm going to go through the 5, then I'm going to touch on arbitration, which I wanted to talk to you about. The first rule is do not confuse helpfulness with trust. Okay? You as an agent want to be helpful. Okay? You want to be guiding your clients through a transaction. But don't trust them. You can't trust your clients because they will gut you like a fish the moment it serves their purpose. Okay? Because they will. Little old grandma, the one that called you sweetie and made you cookies, she'll take you down in a heartbeat if it serves her purpose. Everybody is a potential enemy. As I like to tell my clients before we go into a deposition together, is I'm your only friend in the room, okay? You need to keep your guard up at all times. Let me give an example. If any transaction falls apart, you're going to be the first to know. I had a case many years ago. Listing agent was my client. And he says, I say, tell me the story. Why are we in this litigation? He goes, well, I met with the clients and we were going to sell their house. And we were going through the disclosure form and we got to this thing, pest infestation. And I said, well, do you have any pest infestation? They go, well, we have some garter snakes. They get into the garage and they sometimes get in through the sliding glass doors, but not a big deal, maybe 5 a year, not a big deal. Well, the agent goes.
Oh, God. Just one in my yard, I'm gonna have a heart attack.
Yeah. So the agent says, well, do you think it's an infestation? Of course, what do they say? No. So guess what? They write X, but they don't make any other disclosure about it. None. So of course, the closing occurs and buyer, who's unbeknownst to anybody, is petrified of snakes. And so of course, she moves in. I'm not sure you know how snakes reproduce. Okay, I learned new and interesting things over the years. Snakes reproduce in what's called a snake ball. Basically, they just lather all together, and it can be a significant size ball depending on the number of snakes. Well, of course, Ms. Buyer goes out to pick up the morning paper on the front step, and adjacent to the front step is landscape rocks, which snakes love. And so they were doing their thing out next to the porch. She goes out to pick up the paper, sees it, faints, knocks her head. But she's fine. She had a bump on her head. She's fine. So of course, when the issue arises, who do the sellers blame? I blame the agent. Because the agent should have said what? That's just a form. You should have disclosed the presence of a snake, even if you didn't think it's an infestation. And that's what's important for you guys to understand. The disclosure form is just that. It is a form. It is not the end all. It was not intended in the creation to encompass all things that you're going to have to disclose as a real estate agent, or your client's going to have to. Make sure they understand that. Just because it's not on the form doesn't mean you don't have to disclose it. So in this case, what should have happened? The agent should have said, yeah, you can cross, not an infestation, but write down exactly what the condition is. What is the condition? We get 5 snakes a year. Apparently there was more. Now, interesting enough, we settled that case, which was amazing. Apparently, and I didn't know this at the time, that Alaskan sheepdogs love chasing snakes. So we sold the property to this couple that had 2 Alaskan sheepdogs, of course at a steep discount, and they purchased it and gave the buyer back their money, and these people lived in the property happily ever after. So the point being is, don't confuse trusting. Okay, don't confuse with helpful. You want to be helpful, but remember your job is to see the transaction through and to protect yourself. That is the most important thing. Protect yourself. Okay? Never go out on a limb. Never do anything. Oh, I knew I shouldn't have done that. Don't do it. Okay? Protect yourself is rule number 1. Now, rule number 2 Know your role. You are a real estate agent. You are nothing more. You're not a contractor, inspector, any of those things. Do not give an opinion. I don't care if in your former life you were a general contractor. Do not give that as an indication of your skill level. Don't tell people, oh, I used to be a general contractor, so that condition, oh, you can get it done for $1,000 or $2,000. You're setting yourself up. And the moment that you say you're a general contractor, guess what? You just raise the standard for yourself. You don't want to do that. Your role is simple. You're a real estate agent. You know nothing other than being a real estate agent. Do not tell anybody, don't venture into any other lane other than your lane. Let me give an example here. Up north, there was a parcel of land that was 4 40-acre parcels. And they all tried to, they were trying to sell it together as one big parcel, but they couldn't get a buyer. Nobody wanted to buy all 4 40s. So the agent got this brilliant idea that, oh, let's sell it piecemeal. We'll sell 140, and then we'll sell the other 340 separately. Well, brilliant idea. So she sold the 140 with a mortgage, and then the other 3 on a contract for deed. But what she didn't do with the other 40s is account for a road access. So it was landlocked. There was no way to get to the road. Now, it never dawned on her. Why? Because she's not a surveyor. She's not somebody in planning. She just thought, well, I'll just do this. And that turned into a lawsuit. Now, we were able to get a cartway, so we were able to resolve it. But again, she proceeded outside her lane of knowledge. Now, that can go almost in anything. Basically, if you're confronted at a property with a condition that you don't know, I don't know what this condition is, don't venture a guess. The most important words that you could say when going into a home and seeing a condition,
Like my wife.
Seeing a condition is to say, I don't know. It's an easy thing to say, I don't know. I don't know, but we can look into it. Do you want me to get somebody out here? I don't know, but here's a phone number for the city. Somebody says, I want to build a pole barn. What is your response? I don't know if you can. I don't know. Here's the city, you better contact them. And this is going to dovetail into number 3. If it's not in writing, it doesn't exist. Okay, now I know we all know the real estate, everything has to be in writing. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about that your disclosures to your client, your disclosures to other people have to be in writing. Don't tell me that, oh yeah, we had a conversation, we talked about it. I really don't care, okay? I need to know in writing. You don't know 90% of the problems that real estate agents have would be cured if they would put that in writing. So if you're sending something to your client, do an email, hey, attach this XYZ. Now I know many of you use text, and I'm not here to tell you not to, okay? Just 2 rules on text. Number 1, you got to keep them, and number 2 is, remember, everything that you text, just assume it's becoming public, because it will. Now, I had a client who was really good friends with their client. So they were a real estate agent, and they were selling, helping their friend sell their property. And they texted all the time. Texted well before the transaction and texted during the transaction. But they were college buddies. So the text just didn't include the real estate transaction. It included a lot of other things, including pictures. All of that became public. Come out in the case. And they were so bad that I couldn't even let my assistant go through them. I had to view them, and I'm scarred for life. So just to let you know. Because they were so bad. But the problem is those texts do wind up going to court. And the judge is going to see those texts as much as they're relevant to the case. Now, so again, everything that you do has to be in writing. Don't tell me that I told her, I talked to her, I did all this stuff. It doesn't matter. You need to keep copious notes. You need to follow up disclosures in writing. You need to follow up everything in writing and just say, basically, hey, as we talked about, we're going to lower the price by $50,000. Or as we discussed, this is something that you need to look into because it's, if you want to build a pole barn, you need to take a look at it. Because if you don't, the assumption that they're going to make is that you're going to do that. If they say to you, hey, I'm thinking about building a pole barn. If you don't say anything and they don't say anything, later on when they can't build a pole barn, we told her we wanted to build a pole barn. We assumed that she was going to check it out and get back to us. No, you want to make sure that you tell them, I am not checking this out. It is on you to do that. Or here's the phone number, you contact them. Because you're not going to know anything about a pole barn. Goes to number 2. You don't know what the restrictions of a pole barn are. They could be anything. They could be a certain limitation on the size, the height, things of that sort. So your answer is, I don't know. You want to check it out and then put that in writing. Don't ever assume that you're going to remember. Now, just to let you know, in my mind, you're as pure as a driven snow. Every word out of you is the absolute truth. Absolutely, there could be, you're Snow White in my mind in terms of virtue. But you're not convincing me. I gotta convince 6 people on a jury that you are telling the truth. 6 people that have no idea what you do. Absolutely none. And so who do you think they're gonna believe? Grandma or you? And so it's important for you to make sure that it is in writing. And don't tell me that you deleted it, or nobody believes that your computer crashed. Nobody. There's not a jury that's ever believed that, oh, my computer crashed and I lost all my emails. They're not going to believe it. They're going to believe that there's something bad in those emails and that you intentionally are deleting them. Don't delete emails. Don't delete texts. Okay? They should be part of your file. You maintain them. And, 6 years or however long you want to keep them, but maintain them. It is so easy to download stuff onto a disk and save it. Don't tell me that, oh, my computer had too much. I had too much on my computer. I had my entire practice for 30 years in a disk this size. Okay, you can do it too. So do not delete, do not exclude anything, because that will become an issue later on. Now, the following case I want to tell you about is kind of interesting, and it kind of plays with the issue of listen to that little voice. Now, as you know, if somebody has a natural death, you don't have an obligation to disclose it. Say if they have a heart attack or something like that. Well, I represented the buyer's agent in a transaction, and the seller was an elderly man. He died in the home, and he wasn't discovered for about 2 weeks. Until the neighbors decided there was a smell coming from the room or from the house, and so they went in. Well, I'm not sure if you know what happens to decomposing bodies, but they lose a lot of liquids, and those liquids are hard to eradicate from the property. So what happened is the family, who didn't bother to talk to old dear dad for quite a couple of years, but of course, when the house is going up for sale and they sense that there's going to be money, they all kind of flock in like flies to something. Anyway, so they come in, they clean up the property as best they can. They remove the floorboards around the area, remove the drywall, and they put it on the market. But of course, their agent says, well, you don't have to disclose a natural death. Makes sense, right? So anyway, so they sell the property and the buyers come in. They buy it in the fall, everything is fine. Then comes the summer. And things start to smell really bad. And so they call their agent and say, what is that? My client says, what's that?
kind of smell and we just can't get rid of it. What's going on? They said, well, he says, I don't know. I'll call the listing agent. Of course, calls the listing agent and listing agent. I really don't know. Maybe it's the dead body. First time they learned about the dead body in the property. That case, you would think, because of the statute with the immunity that says you don't have to disclose it, you'd think that case would be dismissed, right? No. So the attorney for the sellers brought what's called a summary judgment motion, wanted to get it dismissed. And the judge made a ruling. The judge goes, yeah, you don't have to disclose a natural death in the property, but you have to disclose the damage that natural death caused to the property. And so in the context there, you have to disclose it. Why do I bring that up? I bring it up because that agent, when faced with that natural death, had a couple of choices. Could have said, you know, I know we don't have to disclose natural deaths, but it might be a good idea to do that. You know, just because some people are very skittish about those things, and you would rather them know on the front end. Your universe of people that might be interested in the property might diminish a little bit, but the people that are going into that transaction know that there was this event there. And so I always say, listen to that little voice, that voice that's saying, and your go-to all the time, and I don't care if it involves something statutorily that says you don't have to disclose. Your go-to is always disclose. Let them make the decision, and then you confirm it when? In writing, that, hey, listen, we talked about the dead body. I think you should disclose it. I think it's just a good thing to do. Let them be the one to say no. Okay, not you. Then you confirm it. You decided you don't want to disclose dear old dad decomposing in the front living room. That's fine. That's their decision. You document it. So if something comes down the pike, you can say it was their call. Now, you as an agent have an independent obligation of disclosure, right? But you can hide behind that immunity under the statute because you left it up to your client to make that call. And that's important. Because remember, you have an independent obligation of disclosure. So if your client really is supposed to disclose something and doesn't, that's when you've got to step up and go, listen, I know you don't want to disclose it, but I am. So I think it might be better if it comes from you than it comes from me. And don't be afraid to do that, to say that. Because I think sometimes you guys want to be nice, want to be friendly, want to be trusting, want to kind of work cooperatively. Those are nice characteristics, but they're character flaws in my business, okay? So make sure that you realize you're protecting yourself. You're the most important person. Protect yourself above all. Now, how many of you, when you have a transaction, sign for arbitration? Show of hands, anybody? Okay. If I do anything today, I'm going to discourage you from ever doing that again. Okay, that's my goal. See if I succeed. Now, tell me the reason why you signed for arbitration. You can just shout it out so I don't pick on you. What's the number one reason why you signed for arbitration?
Cheaper? No, it's not cheaper.
I thought it was cheaper.
Cheaper. Okay, cheaper for whom?
For the clients.
Clients. Okay, what's rule number one? Protect yourself. Now, how many of you have sued somebody in arbitration under the NCDS arbitration rules? Anybody?
Personally or
Personally, as a real estate agent. Have you sued anybody in NCDS arbitration as a real estate agent in a transaction?
for your client? With your client?
No,
Oh,
just
personally.
yourself. Because it's never that way. It's a one-way street. And the street is, you are the ending of that street, okay? You never utilize arbitration to sue people. You just are the person getting sued, along with the buyer or the seller, depending on the transaction. In 99% of the times, it's the seller's getting sued, real estate agent's getting sued, whether it's listing or buying agent. So I always ask people, I go, Why would you make it easier for somebody to sue you? Why? One of the biggest obstacles to people deciding to start a lawsuit is attorney's fees. They're going to have to hire a lawyer and pursue that person. And lawyers are expensive. Now, in your case, if you get sued, you have E&O coverage. That means, theoretically, you have a free lawyer, right? And so, if that person has to consider that I'm going to have to spend 20 grand with a lawyer to pursue this claim, they might question that. They might say it's, I don't need that. But what is arbitration? It doesn't require them to have a lawyer. Pay the filing fee, it's one-stop shopping. Pay the filing fee, go to hearing. Okay? Now, for you that has a lawyer, what are you taking away from your lawyer in defending you? Arbitration doesn't have discovery, motions, appeals, depositions, any of those things. Now, why are those things important? Because I want to learn about their case. I want to be able to understand their case. And what else do I want to do? I want to pound them into paste for suing you. I want to extract so much pain on them, they rue the day they even said your name in the court proceeding. Okay, but can I do that in arbitration? No, I can't. You've taken all the tools, all the things that I could do to defend you in this matter, and you've given them away. You've given them away. So now I'm like any other schmo. Show up at the hearing, which occurs at the house. Grandma's testifying how bad you were in representing her. I don't got anything to find out to basically establish that grandma sues people on a regular basis. Yeah. So now people tell me, well, what happens if my clients want to do arbitration? Am I not compelled to do it? No, you're not. There is no rule, statute, anything that says because your client signs for arbitration, you have to. You do not have to. It's a legal right, and you're allowed to administer that in any manner that you want. Now, have I convinced any of you? Who still wants to do arbitration? So I will single you out.
Nobody's gonna raise their hand. But maybe me.
I want to go toe to toe with you, Dave.
No, yeah, that's it. No, but in all seriousness, I think it's the worst thing for real estate agents. I really do. Because it's a benefit you're giving to people to make it easier for them to sue you. And why would you ever do that? Especially when you have E&O insurance and you're going to get a lawyer. Why take all the tools that lawyer has to defend you? Because it's good for your client. Remember, number one, protect yourself. Protect yourself. Yes?
So what's your opinion on buyers and sellers signing arbitration?
Well, remember the rule. If everyone doesn't sign it, it's not effective. Therefore, if you don't sign it, that option is not available to them unless for some miraculous reason they agree to it later on. But the agreement is not enforceable
Right.
if everyone doesn't sign it.
So what if my buyer or my seller feels like it's important to sign it and I'm refusing?
Yeah, I'm refusing.
Okay.
It's not, this is a legal right. This is not like, can you make sure the electrical's been transferred from them to me? This is a legal right. And again, what's number one? Protect yourself. Yes?
What I'm hearing you say is our clients don't make the decision for us.
That is correct.
That's our own decision to make.
Yes, because your client potentially could be the subject of a lawsuit,
Right.
but you most certainly will be the subject of the arbitration, most certainly. And again, it's not foreclosing their ability to pursue the claim because you sign up. They can pursue it. Their option is district court. But again, yes.
I would just like to add that his second point was know your role.
Yeah.
So as you present the option to arbitration to your clients, be careful how much you caution them, or they may perceive that as you giving them legal advice. So make sure that you are quite neutral in explaining their option to choose to arbitrate or not.
Well, I think the reality is, if you say, listen, here's the arbitration agreement, I'm not a lawyer. You may want to talk to a lawyer about this, but let me just tell you that it's my policy. This is a good one. Okay, this is your excuse, okay?
But it's not a policy.
Well, that's number one.
At KWPR.
Number one, you can say it's a brokerage policy if you're looking for cover.
But it's not.
Or number two, we had this blood-sucking lawyer that came in and said we shouldn't sign arbitration, which is fine.
There you go.
But in reality, you shouldn't be explaining. You just say, listen, I'm not going to sign it, and based on its terms, it's not going to be applied. And basically that's it. If you're committed to it. If you don't want to do it, I understand. But when you're, I just finished an arbitration, 3-day arbitration on a $7.1 million piece of property that for moronic reasons, people signed arbitration. And the arbitrator, and again, these arbitrators, some are good, some are really bad.
And some companies do have it as a policy, their agents must sign it.
Yes, but he ordered rescission. And he said that the agent had to participate in the rescission. Remember, arbitrators don't have to follow the law. They don't have to follow the law. They don't even have to follow the rules of evidence. They can take in all the hearsay, all the things, and make a decision that has no standard under the law. And I have no appeal. Basically, it is what it is. So for convenience and to be nice to your client, start thinking about whether or not that's a good thing.
Well, they can sign it at any time down the road too, so you could just give it to them, say, you seek legal advice if you'd like to arbitrate or not.
No, not under the NCDS rules. You have to have that form signed at the time. And it's got to be signed by all the parties. Now, do they want to arbitrate the dispute in some other forum? Yeah, they can do that. But I would dare say that most agents are always a part of that.
Perhaps what you meant though is if they declined initially, they can change their mind in the future.
Right.
Prior to closing.
Right, because we were always told that if there was any issue that came up, everybody would ask them first if they wanted to arbitrate before going to court, and then they could sign it at that point in time. But
yeah, it's highly unlikely that would occur because, again, under the form, if everyone doesn't sign it, it's not applicable.
Right.
Now, so that form is kind of not important anymore. You would, if those parties want to engage in arbitration themselves in some other forum, they can do that. But there isn't it's not a one-stop shopping, meaning you don't get to go to arbitration, then go to district court. No, arbitration is your forum.
Mm-hmm.
So, and so anyway, I think I convinced probably 95% of you. We have one holdout, and I'll take her out in the back later on. But just to let you know that I take all comers. So if you're foolish enough to sign for arbitration, get into trouble, I still represent you. I'll berate you as we go along, but tell you why it was a bad idea. But nonetheless, I'll represent you and defend you as best I can. Number 5 was the simplicity. Strive for simplicity. And this is important. And the reason I say that is because you guys are getting into the practice, and I'm not saying it's bad, of drafting amendments and addendums. Now, let me just give you an example of an addendum that I was provided for in a transaction, which said, this is exactly what it said. Seller will do all work in the inspection. That was it. That was signed by everybody, drafted by the agent. What the heck does that mean? Okay, well, the buyer saw it as, well, they're going to do all the work that my inspector said in his report needed to be done.
Yeah.
So, gangbusters. The other guy said that it was just things that he was told were in the inspection report that he would do. And he says that he had an email exchange prior to that, which outlined all the work that he was agreeing to do. But of course, as we all know, The addendum's the last document, that's the one that's signed, so that's the one that became in effect. Now, guess who the primary target of that dispute was? The agent that drafted it. Now, rightly so, he's an idiot. So, but nonetheless, both parties pursued him and saying you had a duty to draft it. So my point being is when you draft these documents, these amendments or addendum, understand you gotta step back. It's just not you looking at it right now. It's going to be a judge or jury or an arbitrator looking at those forms and trying to understand what the intent of the parties was based upon what you wrote. So if work is going to get done, what is that work? When is it going to get done? Who's going to make the determination that it has been done? Who's going to do the work, Cousin Eddie or a train contractor? I don't know. You need to decide that. And you need to have a time period in which the buyer has a chance to make sure the work got done. I don't know how many transactions where it says the seller's going to perform some work, and then nobody goes out to check and see if the work got done. I don't understand it. He's going to do all this work, and then you guys final walkthrough. Oh, they had the final walk. Is your clients trained enough to know if whether the electrical wiring was done correctly as it was supposed to be under the inspection addendum? I mean, if your clients are that sophisticated, God bless you. But most of mine have trouble figuring out how to turn on a light switch. So I mean, I think you need to be careful. If you're striving for simplicity, you need to be clear. So when you're giving those kinds of roles, when you're drafting that, get another set of eyes on it. Maybe somebody that's not even involved in the transaction, another agent. Go to your broker. Hey, listen, I prepared this. What do you think? Because they should be able to look at it and know exactly what's going to be done, when it's going to be done, and how you know it's been completed. If they can't tell from that document, it's back to redrafting. So make sure that you do that. Now, the one other thing I wanted to talk to you about, and I've got about 10 minutes, and I'm going to cover this relatively quickly, and then I'm going to ask, you can ask me any question about any topic of a real estate nature. Okay, no, I don't want to hear about, what do I think about your boyfriend or whatever, whether he's a catch or not. So I want to talk to you about the most disliked regulatory agency for real estate agents, Department of Commerce. Now, the Department of Commerce has wide authority and regulatory authority, and basically what they do is either from consumer complaints or from their own desire to investigate something, they have the power to take your license and assess fines. Okay, so it's very important that you understand when dealing with the Department of Commerce, the lone wolf strategy does not work. Department of Commerce records every phone conversation, which is really just, kind of disturbing because I've had cases where after the case, we're going to go to hearing with the Department of Commerce about when I'm representing an agent, hearing your voice on a recording is really, do you sound like that? God, I don't like my voice on the phone. But, so they record every conversation. They won't tell you. But the moment if they call you about a transaction that they're investigating, they're going to go, yeah, I'm calling you about this transaction. Could be 6 years ago. And I want you to tell me what happened. You're not even going to remember the transaction, but what is your gut going to tell you? This is the Department of Commerce. I better be nice to them. And I better answer their questions, even though I don't remember the transaction. I'm guessing. And I don't even have the file near me. And you're going to make statements. And they're going to record those statements. And they're going to assume those statements are true. They have this theory at the Department of Commerce that if we surprise you with a question and you give an answer, that's more truthful than if you prepared for that answer. Okay? So when they call you, and say, this is, using an actual name, Jason Broberg from the Minnesota Department of Commerce, I wanted to talk to you about 123 Elm Street. You were the listing agent on that transaction. Your first response is, Jason, yeah, thanks for calling, but yeah, I can't take your call right now. I'm in the middle of something. Hey, can I get your number and call you back? Or, you know what, I got this policy, and this blood-sucking lawyer told me this too, that I need to talk to my broker before I talk to you. So give me your number, I'll call you right back. Okay, that's what you do. You don't start blabbing your mouth about, maybe you remember the transaction. Well, yeah, I did my best, but, yeah, maybe I dropped the ball there, but I did this, that, and the other thing, and, I go to church on Sunday, and all that stuff, and I feel really good about myself, and my cousin's a priest, and all that, and you start going through all those things about how a nice person you are, okay? And then you forget you just admitted to them that I could have done better. And guess what? They're gonna remember that line. The fact that your cousin's a priest, it really doesn't matter to them. So if you do get that phone call, you get off the phone line, you go down to your broker and say, I got this call from the Department of Commerce regarding this transaction. You then pull out that transaction, you go over it, you try to figure out, what is it? Who's the complainant? What are they complaining about? Department of Commerce does not need to tell you who the complainant is, doesn't need to share the complainant's statement with you, doesn't have to share anything with you, doesn't even have to tell you the transaction they're calling you about. They can ask you for the last 10 years of transactions, and you have to comply. Because if you don't comply, they can take your license. They can issue a subpoena. They can show up here unannounced. Okay, that's their level of authority. So they are not your friends. Okay, they're not calling you to see how things are going. They're calling you because they believe you've done something wrong. They are committed to the belief, if they're calling you, that you've done something wrong. And all you're doing in their minds is confirming that when you start answering their questions. So make sure that you don't do that. So I got a hard stop at 11:55. I got 5 minutes. Ask me any questions. I don't care what it is. Questions? Because I'll start talking to her about arbitration if you don't stop. So how unconvincing was I?
Well, actually, I feel you were incredibly convincing.
Good.
And I would tell you that there is one real estate brokerage, as I audit the roughly 2,000 files in this office, that consistently declines arbitration, and therefore they must have a policy against it.
Yeah.
And I can absolutely see why.
Okay.
I think we do pose it as a lower cost alternative for those people who may feel overwhelmed by getting into a legal battle.
Yep.
And it is supported by the National Association of Realtors. So it is something that I think is put in place to be helpful.
Yeah.
Would hiring someone like
is.
you be way more helpful? Yes. Yes. But
No, I appreciate what you're saying, and like I said, I take all comers. Yes?
I've always felt that the one reason why sellers like to sign it is because it's limiting things from a 6-year statute of limitations down to 24 months.
I wish that was the case.
And that's what it says in it.
It says in it, but if you read the other, this is where the exceptions swallow the rule. It says, except in situations of fraud, when it can be extended. Now, they never define what that means. And what is almost every single case involving arbitration involve? Alleged misrepresentation, AKA fraud. And so it just gets bumped into the future. By that, it's just comical. By that definition, it's 2 years or it can be extended. If you sign for arbitration, it can be extended past 6 years. It can be extended to 10 years because there's no definition. It just says it can be extended. So by signing arbitration, in essence, you're opening yourself up for more liability for a longer period of time than would if you're in district court, which is 6 years. So, I don't know. I don't think that's a convincing argument. Yes?
How would you have us explain it to buyers or sellers?
Just say, again, the easiest way for you to deal with it, saying, listen, we have a policy that we're not signing for arbitration. The results of that are that arbitration isn't going to be the forum to resolve disputes for this transaction. They ask why, blame him, blame me. Not blaming me. So that's the way I would explain it. But again, if for whatever reason you decide, listen, I want to put a target on my back, I want to get sued in the worst possible way. I feel good about that, because I'm helping my client. Hey, listen, I'm all for you. I'm there with you 100%. Yes?
Would you take the same policy and say that to, my buyer, while you're opening yourself up to go to arbitration without ever having a lawyer that can defend you?
Well, I mean, the buyer is somewhat different, because the buyer is always the one that is doing the suing. Okay, so the buyer may like the idea of arbitration, but it's hard to tell in the beginning when you're talking to your client about this, whether or not you're going to be the target later on. And so my suggestion is not to give any advice, whether it's good or bad for them. Have them speak with an attorney, but making it clear that you're not agreeing to arbitration, so it becomes, in essence, a moot point, because you're not going to agree to it. So, yes.
I know Colin had a question, so I don't want to cut in front of him. Some
Yeah.
question?
So the first 15,000 goes to court now regardless, right?
Goes to conciliation court.
Okay. So different scenario.
Well, here's the comedy of it. Just, Minnesota Association of Realtors, greatest one. Now, conciliation court, when you go to conciliation court, okay, your jurisdictional limit is $15,000. Can't go above. Okay, but what can happen in conciliation court? Let's say you take me to conciliation court and I lose. Unlikely, but if I lose, and what can I do? I can appeal, right? I can appeal to where? District court. So that means I get to go to district court for claims below $15,000, but I got to go to arbitrations for claims that are greater than $15,000. Doesn't make any sense. Doesn't make any sense. Why, for low claims, do I have to go through this district court, 15, then, which, by the way, if I lose in conciliation court, you could appeal, you could amend your complaint to ask me for $50,000. So now I've just converted what I thought was arbitration now into a district court case where you're asking me for greater than $15,000. Yes?
Okay, the question that I did have, that one just popped into my mind, so you get two.
Okay.
I'm gonna go a
Then
little
you're
bit.
done.
Yes, I know. I'd like to talk almost as much as you did.
Yeah, that'd be hard pressed for that one. I'll take double on that one.
Different direction on this one.
Yeah.
We have internally been talking a fair amount. We had Greg down and Melissa's addressed it, talking about listing agreements.
Yeah.
And some of the lawsuits that are going on right now.
Yeah.
Minnesota has pretty good forms, the way they're spelled out.
Yep.
And how clear they are. But let's talk about our overall commission.
Yeah.
And how that's being split out and paid to the buyer side.
Yeah.
And then also how we would address it with buyers when signing them.
I think it's very important, and I agree with you that Minnesota's forms are very clear. I mean, this case in question originated from Kansas, and then there's one down in Texas also, and their forms are very blind as to many of these commission splits. I think as a practice, if you're representing the listing agent, the seller, and you're the listing agent, is to, when you go with the form and it indicates what the split's going to be, that what you're going to pay a buyer's agent, is to explain that to them and have them initial that area. I think that's an added protection for you in saying, we had the conversation, they initialed it, and I told them exactly what's going on. Now, you're going to get some people that want to negotiate. They're going to say, hey, I only want to offer 1.7. That's when the company has to have a policy saying no. And if that's what you want, Mr. Seller, there's plenty of discount brokerages out there in the community. This is what we do. We're full service, and that's what we offer. It's not that you can't do what you've been doing, but it's basically making sure they understand what it is you are doing. Okay, that's the big argument here, is that the sellers didn't know what the amount of money that was being paid to the buyer's agent. If you clear that up, then you're golden. Now, in terms of the buyer's agent, let's assume you're representing the buyer and you come across this property and they indicate, we're going to pay a 1% COLA. Okay, and it's up to you, but remember, it's your client's call. It's your client's call. So I really strongly discourage you from omitting those properties, but I think that's when you have to have the conversation, because assuming that you had a buyer's representation agreement and a buyer's commission agreement signed, explaining to them, listen, show you the house, happy to do that. Let me just explain the mechanics here. You're only paying 1%, okay? I'm supposed to get 2.7. You're gonna have to pay the 1.7. So you have to better start thinking about adding that to the purchase price when you're thinking about buying. And you have to have that conversation. If they say, well, can you just take 1%? That's a decision for you and the brokerage. Your short answer is, sorry, no. And you sign the contract for 2.7, and they're gonna have to get the realization that you're, no, my time is worth something. I'm gonna expect to get the difference from you. And I think, to be honest with you, I can't tell you how many properties where sellers have tried that route, that they find out that it's a vast wasteland. Nobody's bringing any potential buyers by the property. And it's been amazing to me how that has been the case. People have, because once the buyer learns, and you take them back to the form that they signed and explain that to them and saying, hey, you're paying the difference. So this property might be, listed for 100,000. We'll add $1,000 or $1,700 to that, because that's what you're going to have to pay me after I get the 1%. Yes.
And I would argue that discussion the second time around with your buyer is a heck of a lot easier when you've had that discussion the first time around when they signed the document.
Oh, absolutely. It's like almost any document with consumers. It's like, oh yeah, I'll just sign whatever you say. And then when the document becomes important, they go, well, I didn't know it said that. And, and that's I know I'm running out of time. It's really important to authenticate. Great thing, great tool. Make sure that you still go through the documents with your client. Don't assume they are reading it, because they're not. No. They're not reading it. Go through them with them. Then after you do that, you shoot them an email. Hey, we went through the entire bunch of documents, and I'm going to send it, now you're ready to sign. If you want to sign, if you have any other questions, let me know. It's important that you go through the documents with them, even if the document is potentially inapplicable. Go through it with them. Is it going to be line by line? Chances are not, but it's going to be the general categories, so that if they have questions or concerns, they can raise them, and they can't do what they will do to you. Well, they just sent me a bunch of documents and I just signed it because, she didn't explain anything to me, okay, even though you may have. So make sure that you document that you did go through with them. So I am fresh out of time. I'll hang around here until my coffee runs out or they kick me out. So if you have any other questions, let me know. Thank you very much.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's outstanding. Well, it's great having you around Christmas time, but with all this blood sucking, we'll have you Halloween next year. Next, we want, I know we're running lower on time. We have a wonderful lunch, and we have Sally with 2 Men and a Truck here. Come on, Sally.
Good afternoon, everybody. I'm not going to take up too much of your time because I know it's lunchtime and I brought Panera. Actually, I didn't bring it. They brought it for me. But so we've got Panera in there for you guys. But anyways, I want to talk to you guys a little bit about 2 Men and a Truck, and then also, first off, how many of you have used 2 Men and a Truck, know about 2 Men and a Truck? I would assume almost everybody in the room. So something that we did here recently is we actually started a new business. So we now have 2 Men and a Truck, and then we have sister company 2 Men and a Junk Truck. So while we can still do anything and everything when it comes to moving. So for those of you who may not know, we are a full service moving company.
So if it involves moving one piece of furniture or an entire building of furniture, we can do that. We also pack, we offer storage, we do local and long distance moving. So we can go anywhere in the country, or we can bring someone from anywhere in the country here. And then we also are professionally trained, drug tested, background checked, all those things that you want when you're thinking about someone being in your client's house. So I'm gonna talk a little bit more about 2-minute junk truck today, though, because they go hand in hand together, right? When people are moving, they want to get rid of stuff. They don't want to bring the old furniture that they no longer want into their new house. So we now offer junk removal services. So it's a completely separate truck, and we can get basically anything out of your house or your client's house that they no longer want to come to their new house. And it's something as simple as when they call 2-minute truck to use the moving services, they just say, hey, I have some junk that I need to get rid of. Perfect, we'll get you scheduled a 2-minute junk truck as well. So they're not having to call multiple people, and it just makes it very streamlined and easy for them. So we can move anything and everything, with the exception of some hazardous materials, your typical propane tanks, things like that. But we do it by the truck, how much you're taking up in a truck, how much space you're taking up in a truck. The minimum, if we're having to go into your house to get it, usually looking at about 220. If it's already like in the garage or right by the front door, it's about 125. So a great opportunity to offer with your clients. Like I said, it's something that's streamlined. And then one thing that we also do with 2-minute junk truck is we try and keep as much as we possibly can out of the landfill. So if we're able to donate those goods back, we work with Bridging in Bloomington and in Roseville. So if we're able to give that stuff to them, we do. We also recycle metals. We recycle all appliances. So none of that stuff is going into the landfill. So obviously there are a few things that, if you've got a couch that is severed in two, clearly there's not much we can do there. But we do our best to recycle those items and either give them to people in need, or they're able to refurbish those appliances as well. So that's really all I have. Yeah, and I'm happy to take questions.
Do you have a mileage limit as how far we go out?
We will go, no.
Do you charge them for extra mileage?
Not right now. How far are you guys
South of
talking?
Shakopee.
Oh, no, that's, yeah.
Like Mankato?
St. Peter. Mankato, we might run into a little bit of an issue because there is another franchise there.
Gotcha.
But, we're happy to have that conversation.
Sure.
Too.
Okay.
Yeah,
Pianos, pool tables.
all of it.
Hot
yeah.
tubs?
That's a good question, and I've got
Seems to be the biggest one that comes up.
I don't think we're able to take hot tubs right now. I believe I've asked our junk people that before, and they were like,
So, do you have any coupons right now? I know before you brought coupons to their clients, do you have anything going right now?
Yes, so something, and I can bring them with me. I didn't bring them today, but we have $25 off junk coupons I will bring and leave in our basket back there. I'll bring a big stack of those. And we also, on the 2-minute truck side, anyone that is interested, we do $50 gift cards to your clients. And it actually, you put your name on there and it looks like you basically bought them a gift card to use for us. So, but you're not paying for that. We're offering it to you guys as a partner. I will also, I didn't bring any of those today because they do expire at the end of the year, and I'm getting my fresh stack hopefully here in the next week or two. So as soon as I get those in for 2024, I will also bring those. So just be on the lookout if you want any of those. They will be in the basket, the 2-minute and truck basket back there. So, but any other questions?
Thanks, Sally.
Awesome.
Very moving presentation. All right, so before we eat, I just want to thank Jason Stuntdouble, Mr. Hasselsloth for being here in Jason's spirit and hot air. So we miss you, Jason. Thanks for helping with this presentation, and Kelsey. And drawing before we're done. So you're not gonna actually get to read them. 8.
Eight is John Hoffmeister.
Becoming elite, Air Equestrian. Let's go have some elite food. Thank you. 2 men in a truck. Thank you, everybody.
Every month. And I've never seen anybody love cereal the way I love cereal.
We'll talk about what else.
I don't know, like, what day of the week is it?
I keep thinking it's Friday. I'm off the weather really.
Yeah.
Like,
I box every year to eat one bowl and throw it out.
You know, that's funny. So mine is, it's